Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to create a custom dissolve effect like this in Microsoft PowerPoint. It's the sort of thing that you could use as a intro slide while people are coming into the room. So you could just run it round and round and round, and you could do multiple different images if you wanted to. We're just going to do one today. Now this video is jam-packed with some really useful tips and tricks for working with things like this in PowerPoint. So I hope you're going to enjoy it. So I'm going to start with a brand new file here, and I'm just going to right click over here and choose layout and do blank. Now I want to use black as my background later on, but for now, no, I'm just going to work with white. I'm going to the View tab here, and I need to turn on grid lines here so that we can line things up. Now I want to also change the size of my grid lines. So I'm going to click on this little arrow. Right now my grid line spacing is 1/12. I'm just going to set mine to 1 inch and 1 inch so that I've got little boxes that are in inch in size. And right now I want to snap everything to the grid, so I'm going to click on that and click OK. So now we're going to draw our square shape. I'm going to insert and shapes, and I'm going to the rectangle. I'm just going to drag over this to create a square, and you'll see here that's a 1 by 1 square. At this stage it doesn't matter what color your fill is. You're going to hold down the control key as you drag the next square across. These are all just snapping into place. That's why we did it this way, because it's so much easier. I'm selecting over both of these, holding the control key down and dragging them out. And each time, if I select over the previous set and hold the control key, we're going to move pretty fast. Select the set, control, drag down, reselect everything, control, drag down, and then I'm just going to control drag down here. So what I want is something that almost fills this side of the slide but doesn't quite. Now that I've got the grid that I'm happy to use, I'm going back to the View tab, and I want to disable the snapped objects to grid because I don't want it to snap anymore. Also, I don't need my grid line, so I can turn those off. The next thing to do is to go and select all of these squares, and we're going to the Shape Format tab, go to Group and then Group. So now we have a group of shapes that are going to move as one. That's important for a couple of reasons. One, because we want them to move all as a single object, and two, because we want to fill the entire object with a single image. If we don't put them in a group, each of the little squares is going to get that image. So now I've got it placed in the corner of my slide. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and drag out this corner just to fill the rest of the slide up. So these squares are now no longer 1 inch in size. They're going to be more like 1 1/4 inches in size. Doesn't worry me that they're slightly bigger. It just worries me that this is all working so far. So now I need an image to use, so I'm going to choose Insert and then Pictures, and I'm going to grab a picture from my computer. Now I have these images that I've downloaded from unsplash.com. We're going to use the one of this waiter, so I'm just going to click on that and click Insert. Now this image is coming in at the slide size, so its height is 7.5, which is the same as the height of the collection of shapes that I've got, but its width does not match, and that's just fine. That's exactly as it should be. So what you'll want to do is to scale your image so it does fit your slide height wise, and then we're going to crop it. Now if we have a look by selecting on the group of shapes and go to Shape Format, we can see what the width has to be. If it's 7.5 tall, then the image is going to have to be 10 inches wide, not to distort when we put it in these boxes. So I'm going to click on my image. I'm going to Picture Format. What I want to do is click on this flyout. Don't be tempted to change things here. Everything's going to go wrong. So I'm just going to click on the flyout, and then again, don't be tempted to change things here. That's not the option you use. You're going to come here to the picture option, and then you're going down to crop, and there's picture position with some measurements in it, and there's crop position with some measurements in it, and it's the crop position you want. If you try anything else, your image is going to skew out of proportion. So just be really careful that you're in the picture area here, and that you've got crop open, and that you take crop position. And all I'm going to do is make this 10. Because the height is correct, I just want the width to be correct. So as you can see, what just happened is that the edge got knocked off the image, but the image didn't change. It didn't squeeze up, it didn't smush up or anything like that. The only thing for me is that I would prefer that the image was a little bit more central. There was some information over here I'd like to use. So I'm going to select back over my image and I'm going back to the crop tool, because what that does is shows me this crop rectangle, which is 7.5 by 10, inside the original image. And so what I can do now that I've got a crop rectangle that works for me, is just move my image into the position I want it to be, that I want to use it. So that's good for me now. I'm just going to click back on crop, and so now we have an image that is exactly the same size as the grid of squares underneath, cropped perfectly and positioned the way I want it to look. At this point, I'm going to right click it and click cut. I'm going to select over my group shape and I'm going to right click and choose format shape. And here we'll go to fill and we'll choose picture or texture fill, and I'm just going to paste in the clipboard. Now the image that's appearing here right now, just by default, looks like the same image as I just created. It's not. That's because I've been working in this previously. So you will want to click on clipboard, because you might have a texture fill here or some other image, whatever. But you will need to click on clipboard because we cut it to the clipboard. Now we're pasting it from the clipboard. So now I have my image in place. I'm going to change the background at this point because everything's looking good to me. So I'm going to the Design tab, Format Background, Solid Fill, and I'm going to choose a black background. Now the squares actually have a slightly blue edge to them. I'm happy with that because I'd like you to be able to see those edges. If you're not happy with that, you're going to select over this shape and you're going to shape format and you're going to shape outline and you're going to change the outline color. You can see here you can change the outline color. Well, you could make that color the exact same black as the background so that it's going to blend in, but you can also make it whatever color you like. I'm going to leave it as it is. It's a slightly different color. The next thing is to put our text in. For this, I'm just going to use a text box. So I'm going to insert and then text box. I'm just going to drag out a text box. I'm going to make sure that the font color is something that's going to work. I can actually see it. I'm going to type my type. I'm going to select over it. And then I'm going to increase the font size. I'm doing that from the Home tab of the ribbon, and you can make it as big or as little as you like. I'm just going to stretch my text box a bit so it all fits, and then let's just move it to where I want it to be. I think I'd like it just below this line here. So I'm really happy with this as being the basic image. Now we have to get the disappearing thing to happen. So over here I'm going to right click the thumbnail view and choose duplicate slide. We're going to work on the duplicate here, and I'm going to click on the grouped object and then click again to select an object in there, and then control click on a series of other objects. Now you'll probably want to select more than you think you need to, because it can take a while to peel these all away. So I'm just going to go with what I have selected here. We'll go to Shape Format. I'm going to open up the Shape Fill option here, and I'm just going to choose the same black as the background. So we're starting to disappear away this image, if you like. Right click and duplicate the slide, and we're going to do that repeatedly until the image totally disappears. I'm going to speed up the video at this point because I'm just going to be doing the same thing over and over again. Selecting the group, selecting an object, holding the Control key down, and then just selecting boxes within this to be the ones that are going to be deleted on this particular slide. Once I've got them selected, go to Shape Fill and select my background color, right click, duplicate the slide and continue. So once you reach the end and you've got all these boxes the color that you want them to be, it's time to go and do that in reverse. But there's a very easy way of doing it, and what you'll need to do first of all is save your presentation. So I'm just saving my presentation, And then what you'll do once it's saved is you'll come back into the Home tab of the ribbon, go to New Slide, and then Reuse Slides. Now I've already had a presentation open. Let's go to Browse, and let's go and find the dissolve effect that we just created and click Open. So this is the slide presentation we're working on, and this is a duplicate copy of it with slides available to reuse. So make sure that you have selected the last slide on this panel and then work backwards up these slides, but you can skip the last one because that would just be a duplicate. So I'm going to click on slide 6, and if you watch over on the side over here, when I click on slide 6, it's going to appear over here. Now the background hasn't come in. I'm not worried about that at this stage. I'm going to click slide 5 and then continue all the way up the list here until I have a duplicate of the slides added in. And simply, this is the easiest and quickest way to reverse a set of slides, because otherwise you'll be moving them around. It's really hard to track where they all are. So I think this is the best way of doing it. I'm just going to close that panel. Don't need it any longer. Click on this one that doesn't have the right background. Shift click on the last one, and let's go to Design and then Format Background, and let's select our black solid fill. So now we have all the slides for our dissolve effect, and they're in order and they're going to rotate around. This is the beginning slide and this is the beginning slide. So if we were going to have it continue over and over again, we could remove this last slide because it would be exactly the same as the topmost one. So to set this effect to play, we're going to click on the first slide and we're going to roll down and shift click on the last slide. We're going to transitions because what we're going to do is use what's called a morph transition. So here is the morph transition. We'll just click on it. Over here we can make some changes to how the morph transition actually works. If you have a look in effect options, it's going to morph just the objects. That's fine. That's what we've got. We've got objects. So the default setting for this is correct. We don't want any sound, but the duration at 2 seconds is probably going to be really long. So I'm going to decrease this quite considerably so that we can see changes really fast and we're not hanging around here waiting for things to happen. And then I'm going to change this from on mouse click to after 0 seconds. In other words, this is going to play really, really quickly and there are going to be no delays. So let's see this in action. I'm going to click on the slideshow tab, making sure that I have selected the very first slide here. And you can see it dissolving away and then rebuilding itself. Obviously it's happening really, really fast, but we could make it happen a lot slower by changing the duration here and perhaps even putting in a small delay. Now in terms of playing this presentation automatically so it loops around, what we would do is go to the slideshow tab and click set up slideshow. And for this presentation we want it to loop continuously until we tap escape. I'm going to click OK and let's just test it. And as you can see, it's just rotating around and will continue to do so until I press the escape key. As I said, you could do a whole series of these images if you wanted to. It's a pretty easy setup to create once you know how to do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. If you like carefully researched content like this, clearly presented in a step-by-step format so that you can get great results every time, then you'll love my other YouTube videos. So give this video a thumbs up and click to subscribe to the channel. And on the screen now, you'll see a video that I've handpicked for you to watch next.